when I was in my elementary school, BTS was like more like a domestic thing. Like we all enjoyed BTS, but like somehow suddenly like they weren't really around us, right?
I don't know how it would show like internationally, but to Koreans it was the road that the kings, our kings, actually walked through. And I was kind of like, oh, are they really worth where they're performing? And somebody gave me the idea of how much advertisement of Korea came through this one stage, this 1 hour stage, those on Netflix.
Before the album coming, I thinking about they gonna make like pansori or something like this. And also before Suga make the album like Dejita, and he used a lot of the traditional Korean music, and I told like in the Arirang they gonna make something same. Like they wanna add not only one part to the song, they gonna make a lot of this. For example, like when we talk about the traditional music, it's have a lot of the genres, and I think they also gonna make this. But when I start listening, I been so confused about this because I think it's not bad and not that good. But for me, when I start listening this, I thinking like they just fit the popular music now.
Because the safety and the quality, their performance, I was so satisfied with the level. And also my friends who went there, they said, oh, it was actually really nice, much better than they expected. They got home safely, they saw the screens, but no one promised you that you're gonna see the BTS because it was a free concert, right? So even just going there and experiencing the atmosphere, finally seeing them after so many years, I think people were actually happy.
Sometimes I do conversations on this podcast about religion, about cults, about North Korea, about politics, and it's all quite sensitive sometimes about beauty and race. Talking about K-pop is one of the more sensitive things, right? It's weird that it should be and it shouldn't be. So I think you're all very brave for being here. And when I asked you to come and talk about it, basically you all said yes, straight away. So I applaud your courage. I think what I want to start with, for me, because I love music, right? Music is a big part of my life. I love making music, listening to music. I want to start by talking about BTS from the perspective of music.
I grew up with their music. My childhood was with them, and back then I could just tell that this is very BTS. It's giving 방탄소년단. But nowadays I listen to them, like it just feels like just another nowadays music. Like it doesn't seem very different from what I hear every day. Like so. It's there wasn't a gap of 4 years, so it was kind of different from what I expected, and I also thought that it was kind of cringe that they keep like saying something like traditional Korean words like 결에, 중머리, like, and I like the Arirang sounds, but like keep putting those words into lyrics when. I don't know. I don't think that was kind of necessary because, like, I don't know. I didn't feel like it was very genuine. So, yeah, I think the album was neat. Some of the songs were catchy, so I liked Swim because it was very easy listening songs.
I personally want to add because I also grew up with BTS when I was young. Their DNA came out when I was in elementary school, and literally everybody loved BTS when I was in elementary school, but they kind of like changed their way to American markets, and they started like producing Dynamite, and Dynamite was like so big in Korea back then because like it was very clean lyrics for a pop song. But that's when like BTS seemed kind of like alien to Koreans because they, like she said, they erased a lot of Koreans from the lyrics. And yeah, we were very proud to see BTS doing whatever they were doing on a very international stage. But for Korean fans, like she said, it was kind of 섭섭하다 and like, are they forgetting where they came from? We were kind of like 소외되다. And like that's stuff I wanted to add. Like a lot of my friends in Seoul Women's University told me about this album. I asked them yesterday, and they said like they miss the old vibes and they really hate BTS right now because their song is so not mid to bad kind of range. So yeah, they were kind of like 배신당하다.
When I was in my elementary school, BTS was like more like a domestic thing. Like we all enjoyed BTS, but like somehow suddenly like they weren't really around us, right? Like most of my friends were a fan of BTS back then, and we were kind of like sad and feel great about like them being very international, but like somehow like most of Korean fans kind of felt very like 섭섭한 feelings about them not putting like not generating Korean lyrics anymore like they used to, and so and their music style kind of changed towards like as the time passes by. So I kind of miss the old BTS. Like I really liked Joro and like Run, like everything they did before. But like nowadays, I don't feel like that anymore.
Before the album coming, I thinking about they gonna make like pansori or something like this. And also before Suga make the album like Dejita, and he used a lot of the traditional Korean music, and I told like in the Arirang they gonna make something same. Like they wanna add not only one part to the song, they gonna make a lot of this. For example, like when we talk about the traditional music, it's have a lot of the genres, and I think they also gonna make this. But when I start listening, I been so confused about this because I think it's not bad and not that good. But for me, when I start listening to this, I thinking like they just fit the popular music now, because when I listen to Animals, I think like, oh, it's quite loud K-pop, what's popular now. And also, I really like the 2.0. No one talked about this, but it's, when we start listening to this, they use the sample and beat from one so popular American beatmaker. And I really happy about this because a lot of the other stars use this before, but in Korea, I never heard this sample. And I think it's quite popular in the America or in other countries. But if we talk about the swim, before BTS make like Black Swan or something like this, and I think Black Swan and Swim, it's kind of the same style of music. It's quite ballad. And Body to Body, it's just not my style. And I think like this album, not that about the Arirang thing, because they add this only to the one song. And also I thinking like maybe they make the something like stories about Korea on the track, like storytelling, but they didn't add this and just make pop music. So I think the music not that good for me.
Sugar Stuff was quite popular because when he did those things, and what was the other one, Hegum?
Yeah.
Right? And it was quite popular. It was very Sugar style, right? It didn't feel Western, but it wasn't just using it in a token way, but he was using beats in that way. He was using percussion and melody and instruments from traditional gugak, and like you say, not just one pansori style, but the folk style as well, longak and things like that. So they do have history of it, and it was different this time. I agree. Yeah, completely. Did you like that Sugar Stuff?
Yeah, actually, I'm really like the traditional music. I also play the chango and kayakum. So when I heard the Suga, I really like how he changed the classic beat to the chango beat. And I really enjoy this. And also, I'm not the BTS fan, but I'm really the Suga fan, I think. And I always come to his solo concerts. Yeah, I really like the Hegum and the Chita. I really enjoy these two songs, and I'm really thinking about Arirang gonna make something like this.
everybody had expectations, and I think this album was very different from whatever we expected. It was all the way over here, and other people do that. I mean, if you think of Inalchi and Sing Sing, other groups have done this kind of traditional music and put it in there. I've forgotten who was the really popular female singer last year. Song So-hee. She was doing this kind of vocal thing that was really traditional mix. That was huge last year. Yeah.
The first time I remember listening to the album, it was just not something I expected. Like, it didn't say that I was sad or happy about it. I just felt like, what? So I listened again. And then I listened once more. And after that, I started realizing, oh, they are kind of different. Like, I feel like they tried to follow their old style of music, like from the beginning in 2013, 14, but also they included a new sound, what people expect pop music to sound these days. They try to blend it together, and at first I found it hard. What genre they're going with right now? Like, I was confused, and I just started picking the songs I like the most. And right now I think I have 4 of them in my playlist. Yeah, it's Swim, They Don't Know About Us, One More Night, and Please. And I just picked them because they're similar to the style I'm listening for the past few years. They just fits into my playlist. But about others, I'm not sure. Maybe I'll change my mind if I hear them live on stage. Maybe I'll get the vibe, because when you listen to it, I got confused.
And you're going to see them next week?
I'm going to see them.
Yeah. And I think seeing them live and seeing music videos, and that all changes our perspective. We have one song in common. Like,
they wanted to create something which is not going to be expected by the society. Like, we did those things, and right now, let's fully like switch it. Let's bring it up. And yeah, people are going to listen and think, it's completely different, the body to body, the song itself, and then the ending when we hear the Arirang is them showing that we're not into the breaks you put us in. Like, we're going to get out of it. It sounds so much like RM, because he loves to say that we don't want to fit in. We want to be ourselves. And also, I saw the videos where Harmony, they're hearing the Arirang in the end, and they just started dancing the national Korean dances. I thought it's just amazing, because those people would never imagine these kind of songs to be famous worldwide. And people listening to them, because that's what they heard while being young, being kind of surprised by other cultures, like American, Japanese, and right now it's Korean culture at the top. I think their heart must be just full of happiness.
And you can't measure that. You can't put money on that. If there's a halmoni, a grandmother, a Korean grandmother, and she hears Arirang in whatever form, and she knows that people around the world are hearing Arirang or something, I agree with you. That's, whether it's how it's done, that's a beautiful thing. Absolutely. I watched the documentary, and about the Arirang inclusion, it feels like it comes from An Ji-hyuk. It feels like it comes from Nicole Kim, or the people above BTS. And they're not sure about it. And then they're like, by the way, we're going to make the Arirang sample even longer. Now we're going to play it, because it was a short version. And they've elongated it. And so there is part of me also that thinks, is it just done there because it's a whole English album? If we don't have any Korean in there, we're going to get dragged a bit for being too Western, so they've just put it in there to say, look, we really are Korean. I'm not sure, but it's nice to hear Arirang. It's a wonderful song. They've put it in there, yeah.
Oh, but the number 29, you know what that is? Like, the whole sound of Emile Bell, like, and I was like kind of surprised, because I was like listening to number 29 in the bus, and it's like, dang, and they were like silent. So I like replayed it for like 3 times, because I thought my data was not working.
I also wanted to add about number 29. I have a short story about it. I remember it was my first assignment this semester. I've been studying 11 p.m. and like all of the songs, Body to Body, Hooligan, Aliens, I've been like typing like crazy, and then number 29 comes and I stopped typing and realizing, oh my gosh, I'm sitting right here at my table, I'm studying, there is night outside. It's like I was actually in the moment. And then when the swim came, it was like a wave, like a new vibe. And I don't know, I think I was flying somewhere in my mind at the moment I was listening, and I got the idea. I got what they mean.
Do Number 29 is very interesting to me because the sound of the bell and then silence, actually it's not silence. If you turn it up, you can hear like reverberation, right? If you crank your speakers, there's something there. It's not complete silence. Now, John Cage released silence back in the 60s, and then people have been experimenting with silence. But I found the silence, maybe this is too philosophical. There's this concept in Asian art called yobek. Yobek means negative space, right? And so if you look at a painting, a Western painting, it's normally full. There's a table, there's a vase, there's a window, there's a tree, and every part of the picture will be filled in somewhere. When you look at traditional Asian paintings, normally it's just like a vase on a white background, or a tree with a plum hanging and a white background. And that white stuff is called the yobek, or the negative space. And so you have the yang. And so the negative gives rise to the positive. You can't have nothing without something. And it's a big part of Asian philosophy. So to have an album with silence on it, I think that was quite interesting because it just makes people like you on the bus stop and go, what the hell is going on here? I like it as a device to defamiliarize people and weird people out. The fact that it gets 10 million views on YouTube is ridiculous, but I think it's because, you know, on albums in the past, there would be like outros to songs or interludes or things like this, right? In between songs. And to me, it's just like that. It's quite interesting as a yobek, as a negative space in between all this. And it does seem to bookmark the album. Like the first half is very hip hop, right? With Fire and Body to Body and the other tracks that are passing my mind at the moment. But then afterwards, when you get into Merry Aliens in the beginning, but then afterwards it seems more pop, different. So it seems to bookmark the album a bit. There's a lot of auto-tune.
Oh, yeah.
I feel old, but I'm like, there's so much, an auto-tune is like 10 years Kanye ago. Like, you know, there's a lot, too much of it for me.
I was thinking maybe right now people don't really like those songs, but in the past they were also saying same about Dynamite, about Butter. When they've been released, people are saying it's too American, too pop culture. But right now it's iconic. Even if you don't like it, you're gonna know those songs. And we were just having fun back then. And I feel like 5 years in the future we're gonna be thinking, oh, that was a nice album. It was such a vibe. And it really would probably just need some time to listen to it more. And later on, I think people are gonna change their opinions.
I think time is really important because at the moment, everything's either amazing or terrible. That's the world we live in. Someone's either a hero or a villain. This album is either 10 out of 10 or it's terrible. And it's more important to me, do things have any lasting cultural impact and how will they be perceived in 4 or 5 years? So I agree with this. And I'm always asked to, comment on things in media. And I think time is so important, to see what is going to last and how we feel about things. I've seen so many videos online. Arirang is the best album of all time, or Arirang is the worst album of all time. And the media sphere makes people on YouTube and Instagram who get paid to upload contents go into these extreme positions. And it's hard just to say, it's, let's wait and see. That doesn't make anybody click. Yeah.
For me also, when I grew up, when I've been a child, like in the Europe side, it's have like if someone listened to K-pop, it's so cringe. And when we've been a child, we need to hide. We listen to the K-pop. And when Dynamite come, 갑자기 all start listen to them. But for me, because I start listening to them, then they debut, I also feeling how they change to the American market. And you also say about fans love this, but if we talk about all K-pop, it's have some topic about it doesn't care it's bad or not. If they have good fans, they like all. For example, it's so bad album, but it's BTS, so we gonna like this. And I think this album, it's mix a lot of the style. It's also from the debuts songs and also American stuff. But I think Dynamite and Butter, it's too neat. Arirang, it's more good than them.
Agreed.
Yeah, but I also feeling sad about Korean fans because I live in Korea 7 years now, I think. And for me, it's kind of the also feeling about they lose the K-pop, they just start to be pop without K on them. Also, when I watch the lyrics, I think it's only 10% in Korean and another is English. So I feel like they start to make the American market, but they just didn't care about the Korean fans. But if we talked about the concert, a lot of the Koreans coming, they wanna show this like it's so iconic for them, but they all be so confused about it's not Korean style anymore. Yeah.
Watching the documentary, I think some of the members are also confused about the English. Like they're worried about the authenticity and they're also worried about the pronunciation. Like, because, you know, we can speak Korean, but if you had to sing in Korean or something and, you know, millions of people are going to listen to it, you're going to be like, oh, really? It's different, isn't it? And so I think even some of the members are a little bit hesitant about how that language works.
Oh, I expected something, but
Yeah.
it wasn't there. I remember 2016, 2017, they did a cover for the song Arirang, the original one, and they used their deep voices there for like performance. And I expected, oh, maybe it's gonna be there. Maybe they're gonna be back to that kind of songs, to that kind of concept. But there was nothing similar to it. It's not bad. I was just hoping, it's so many people on the internet, they were messaging them like, oh, you should release that one. You should make it official audio or at least an MV, but they didn't. It's kind of weird because the album name itself is Arirang and they did the cover, so I just don't know.
I like the logo. I like the 3 circles, the design. I think it's very iconic. You were showing me it's the Spotify play button now. I think that works. I think that looks really cool. Yeah. On my Instagram page, on the Korea Deconstructed Instagram page, I put up a poll and asked people, do you think this album is amazing, good, mid, or poor? Amazing was the top response with 40-odd%. The second one was poor. The third one was mid and then good. So it gets mixed responses from people as well. And I think everybody has a different take. We like different songs. We hate different songs. I went into this new album, Arirang, like, yeah, I like some of their stuff and I don't like some of their stuff. I like some of their solo stuff. So I went into this not sure what to expect. And having listened through to the album quite a few times, I think I like 2 songs, like 3 songs that I think that's quite a good. There's a song like Animals, which has really nice guitar. It has these really high-pitched vocals. I guess that's probably Jin. I'm not sure if it's Sugar playing guitar. It reminds me of the Pixies. I think it's really interesting kind of indie psychedelia, you know, song. And then the one after that on the album is They Don't Know About Us. And it has these amazing like vocal chops. Vocal chops were popular about 10 years ago in music, right? But the vocal chops in that were really interesting. So when I listened through to the album, I found some songs I didn't like, some songs were mid, but those 2 songs I thought they're quite interesting. I listened to them and I like them. Merry-Go-Round, when I listen to that, I just hear Tame Impala. So that song was written and produced by Kevin Parker from Tame Impala, the band, and it sounds like a B-side from the Currents era. Like, it doesn't sound like BTS to me. It sounds like straight up Tame Impala. And that's really weird to me, that I would be listening to a BTS album and be hearing Tame Impala, because, I mean, Kevin Parker's very famous and he has a very distinct style with those synth melodies and that kind of electro pop style of way of doing things. And for me, Merry-Go-Round, as soon as I heard it, I was like, I prefer to hear Tame Impala do this than that. Yeah. The concert, should we say something about Gwanghwamun concert?
I being nearby Gyeongbuk, like one day before of the concert, and if you cross the round, they write something like, after 11, bus not go. And I can't go home the day before of the concert. Like, I live nearby here, so it's hard to me to find a way to go home. I really use the jajang to go to the home. And actually, I've been scared about go to the concert because I thinking about like, because it's of the center of the city, if people don't have ticket can go, so it's have a lot of the fans. I just expect like thinking like it's gonna be a big crowd. I really worried about like few years ago happened in the Itaewon, and I really worried about it's happened before. But if we talk about the like regulation or like police coming, it's really so good. They told to people don't stop on the place, and if they don't have ticket, they need to go around. They can't stop on the same place. I really like the organization, but if we talk about how it's coming, I think it's really so bad because first one, they have a lot of the ticket places, like they have standing zone, but they have one problem. They make like scene so small. Like, and after they make the screen. For example, if I bought the ticket and I stand in the middle, I can see the BTS. I can saw only the screen. And a lot of my friends also come into the concert and they say like, oh, I'm coming from another country to watch to the screen. And also, if you talk about the how it's look, I thinking like they make only like this, but I think they need to make the walking point to all around, but they make this so small, so I think only a little bit point of the person can watch them alive. And also one point, I saw the TikTok about girl coming in the 6 a.m. She don't have a ticket and she take the spot like here and they perform here. And she saw more clearly than people who buy the tickets. And another point about the showcase, in this day, I just watched on the Netflix and I feel so really proud about how they make this so big, but only one problem. I didn't expect it's been only 1 hour. If we go to another showcase, for example, also the TXT, they make 2 or 3 hours of the showcase, but BTS make the few songs and also at the Dynamite. I really like the last song. I really didn't know the name. It's like about this song is so popular in the old armies, but they add also the Dynamite and they didn't show all the album. Like I expect they make all the Arirang thing because it's showcase, they need to show all the album. But I really like how they like connect the Sing and the Gyeongbuk. And also when they make the Arirang, they also invite the singers and the players of the Chango and another. I really like this moment and I feel like goosebumps about this moment because also I really like how they make a light on the Gyeongbuk and I think it's also good ad for the another countries. Like when someone watch this on the Netflix, they can look Gyeongbuk clearly. Like for example, Sing me like blue, but Gyeongbuk we can saw this on the screen so good. And I think it's kind of the Gwanghwamun for another people come to the Korea to saw this place. I really like how they collaborate old Korea and K-pop together. And also I thinking like it's so proud thing to the Koreans people also. And I think they choose so good spot because it's show the center of the soul. Like it's also the big buildings, like the old style and it's mixed together and I really like how it's look, but I really didn't like the performance at all.
There was a hotel that got a lot of advertisements, I think. What was it? Kriana Hotel. Let me say just one thing about the Gyeongbuk, which is the backdrop to the performance. It was the palace. That's where the royal family lived, which is now slowly becoming iconic around the world. So you said it's like a Gwanghwamun, it's like an advertisement. This is really important because 20 years ago, people might not have known South Korea. They might not have known Seoul. They might not have known Gwanghwamun or that image of Gyeongbuk. For people, they might have just thought of Asia, Japan, China, Beijing, Tokyo. These would have been the images and words that came to them. South Korea really didn't have a cultural presence amongst some people. So I think that's really good. That's really nice for the country, irrespective of music, that it puts Seoul, Gwanghwamun, South Korea, into the consciousness of people, because it's in the New York Times, it's in the Wall Street Journal, in Bloomberg, it's on Netflix. And even if you watch it or you don't watch it, you scroll past, it's going to be there on your screen and you're going to see it. And here in Seoul, that Gyeongbuk, which seems so iconic, it was hidden until the 1990s. In front of it was the Japanese Governor Colonial building, right? And so it is associated with deep historical trauma. It was this scene, which has become so iconic, it was buried by the past. It was buried by Korea having their country, taken away from them. So now that it's there and they can share it with the world, irrespective of who does it or what music is performed, I think there is this kind of, element of here is our country, here is our culture, here is our people. And so to do it there is a brilliant thing, I think. I feel really happy for the Korean people that Gyeongbuk and Gwanghwamun can be shared. Yeah.
I live very nearby Gwanghwamun, so I wasn't very pleasant about it because, we always have this kind of big events that, for example, marathons and people even worshipping sessions in Gwanghwamun, very loud, and they'd be marching through to Gwanghwamun to Gyeongbuk like this, and they were shouting out loud their political ideas, and it's very stressful for people living there. So I just wish that back then I wish that maybe holding it in another place like Gocheokdom or like the baseball playing stadiums or something. But now I think placing it in Gwanghwamun was a great choice because I've watched it in Netflix, and it was kind of brilliant, like you said, all these Gyeongbuk backgrounds, and I really liked how they constructed the performance. But and one more thing I liked about the performance was I could definitely tell that their mic was on, and that is something that I really find it me being very sensitive when I watch somebody else's performance. So I really like that. But all these traffics weren't really. I had to walk to my part-time job to Seodaemun. I usually take buses, but even before the night, it was all regulated, so it wasn't very a pleasant thing for the neighbor around here. What I found funny is I expected something more very lively and very loud, people being not regulated around the blocks. Do you know the Taylor Swift Eras tour held in Munich? There were people around, there were open stadium in center, and people were all over the place, 4 and 5 kilometers around the stadium, and it was amazing. And I've watched those videos, and what I expected was seeing something like that, but it wasn't something like that when it happened. So I was kind of disappointed, because they promoted around and they caused the inconveniences to the people around Gwanghwamun, and people commuting and holding weddings, and I know a lot of my friends were had troubles taking subways or something.
Domestically, there has been a lot of conversation about was it worth it and the inconvenience on citizens, because it's great for people around the world on Netflix. You don't have to move. You can watch it. It's wonderful. It's beautiful. But for the people that inhabit that, and they might not be interested in BTS, or they might be trying to get to working it, there is big conversation in the domestic press I've seen. Some of it's political, but your feelings on the concert, Namu?
The concert, I have a lot of thoughts on it because I went from totally negative to neutral now, because I first thought like, really, like, is it worth it? Like, is all like the Heiva caused in Gwanghwamun and the concert, like them marching up the Gwanghwamun, is it like really worth it if BTS really, like, do they deserve those seats?
The King's Road.
Yeah, the King's Road.
Yeah.
Because that road, I don't know how it would show like internationally, but to Koreans, it was the road that the kings, our kings, actually walked through. And I was kind of like, oh, are they really worth where they're performing? And somebody gave me the idea of how much advertisement of Korea came through this one stage, this 1 hour stage, those on Netflix. How much they got promoted, like Korea, Gwanghwamun, all the cultural stuff, how much it got advertised around the world. It is a very big cultural benefit. And I was thinking like, yeah, that makes sense, but still, it was not very comfortable being around it. And some of my friends, they did wanted to go to the concert because BTS is very big, and their concert, they're always like out of tickets. Like people do like ticketing to get the remaining tickets. But they were afraid that Itaewon scene, and they were kind of like traumatic, like, what if I go there and something like Itaewon happens again? I think that's why like the extra security Seoul put that into. And yeah, it was like, it's very, not very organized, but yeah, it was, yeah, now I'm neutral about the whole Gwanghwamun stuff because it did advertisement, but well, it did cause a lot of going around and stuff.
Koreans know how to party. Like the big lead up to this on domestic television, it was 260,000 people are coming. They kept showing the airport and Incheon, and this was on the domestic news for a few days. And if you watch Gwanghwamun, if you watch Psy's performances there in City Hall, if you see the protest that you talk about, like even for the Conservative Party, they have people there singing and dancing. Koreans know how to do this very well. So I must confess that when I watched it, I enjoy all the Gwanghwamun and the Gyeongbuk and things like the symbolism. It's wonderful. When I saw the actual concert itself, I thought, this is really not what I was expecting. I was expecting a cultural event. And you mentioned Taylor Swift in Munich. I haven't seen that, but I love watching, raves and Prodigy at Glastonbury and Metallica in Moscow or something like this. Scenes of people, swarms of them engaged, dancing, bouncing, something like this. And so when I saw that, I was like, this is really different from what I expected. Yeah. But I did watch it, and it like my brother-in-law, we put it on in the family home. So there's my brother-in-law who's like a 48-year-old Korean soldier, and he sat down at 8:00 at night and put it on. He didn't put on the news or anything else. I thought, this is really interesting how it's impacting these people. And he sat and we all watched it. And my niece, Yuna, who used to like BTS when she was young, she just sat there. Every time Jungkook came on, she went, "Oh, 잘생겼다." That was it. For like 1 hour, it's just, 잘생겼다. When every time Jungkook came on the screen, that was her whole comment on it. Yeah. You're going to see them next week. What about the Gwanghwamun one, Alina? Do you have any opinions on what these ladies have said? Or
I think I'm the only one really positive about it here.
It's good that you're here then. No, please, love bomb it. Go, be honest.
At first I was thinking, should I go or not? But then I thought, okay, I'm going to have my time in a few weeks. So people who are not coming later, they should go right now. And also I was worried about safety. So I decided, let's just watch it on Netflix. I really enjoyed it. And I want to mention about the organization. As right now, myself, I'm in a university central dance team for over a year. And right now in a planning group also, like for the Tukje, the festivals and our performances. And so far, what I learned about Korean culture, I think while organizing this event, they probably ask, can we make it wider, this stage? Can we invite more people? But most likely, as it was a collaboration between BTS, HYBE, and Korean government, the government says no. And most likely, BTS team say, okay, let's move on, let's try this way. Because if you want to get something in Korea, you should follow the rules. You can always ask and you can always try, but there is no left or right. You go straight. And if you want to go, you go straight. If you don't want to go, you stay where you are. So most likely they only had options and they took the best one they could have, because the safety and the quality, their performance, I was so satisfied with the level. And also my friends who went there, they said, oh, it was actually really nice, much better than they expected. They got home safely, they saw the screens, but no one promised you that you're going to see the BTS because it was a free concert, right? So even just going there and experiencing the atmosphere, finally seeing them after so many years, I think people were actually happy. Of course, it's not for everyone. You cannot satisfy everyone, but it was a huge milestone for Korea.
Yeah, I think for ARMY and people that like BTS, you could see that it was important. The first time seeing them for 4 years, this was even before the album comes out, wasn't it? So it's a very big event. Can you say something about the performance? Like the songs, the set list, the live singing, Jungkook's face, the outfits? I don't know. Did you have any thoughts on that as well?
Jungkook's face is really handsome. But about the performance...
How about Sugar's face? No, go on.
About the performance, yeah, I enjoyed that they were singing live. And I actually expected them not to sing all of the songs. I knew it's going to happen because the concerts are soon, right? People are paying huge amount of money. And you need also good advertisements and good marketing later. If you give everything right now, there's going to be nothing left for later. But later, there's going to be a world tour. So they should give us surprises every single time, like portion by portion, little. If you're going to give everything at once, later people are going to be like, oh, I saw it. So what's the point for me to go somewhere abroad to see their performance? And also we do same even in the university. Like when we prepare for the festival, we're going to show 30 seconds of the song. We're not going to perform the whole song because even the members of the group, we're going to be bored watching it like 3 times. So it's a good strategy to keep it for now and give it little by little. Like Blackpink also do this, right? They don't have many albums, but when they release, it's a huge boom. Everyone's going to pay attention to it. I think they did the same thing.
And they have got a big world tour coming up, right? BTS, they're about to go off and do all of these dates. It's not quite a world tour, but it's bigger than many tours do sometimes. I know there's a big talk of them to go to Africa now because they use so many African beats and things, but it's bigger than most. And, you know, it's nice that they start in Seoul.
I want to mention it about the costumes. I really enjoy how it's looking because they perform the swim. And at this time, for example, I think Jimin have like the laces here and he really look like jellyfish. Like, no, it's not that meaning.
Yeah.
I feel like for me, swim, it's like when I listen the song, I imagine something like ocean and the sunset thing. And when I saw this performance, I think like they really look like a jellyfish. Yeah. Not the bad meaning, but I think this costumes, it fits so good at the performance. And also the colors is just simple like silver, white and black. But I think it's really contrast with the background. Like for example, the Gyeongbuk, it's like a yellow and white. The Sing, it's like blue and they like the point on the stage. And I really being so sad about the fans, about the Namjoon just have a trauma and he said it at the performance. And it's really good for the people who go to the concert because until the concert he make the healing and people can saw how he dance on the stage in the next week on the concert. I think it's really so sad for come to the showcase, but it's good for also promoting the concert. And I also thinking about how they make more money about this. Like they make the free concert, but it's at one point you need to buy the album for get the tickets. One of my friend buy, I think like 1,000 of the album and she can't go.
But 1,000 albums?
Yeah, because I also, when I go to the showcase, I also buy a lot of the sets of the albums.
Yeah.
So when it's coming like for the fan sign, event showcase, it's always about buy the album for going.
Yeah.
It's say like it's free, but actually you need to also pay the money. After they sold out the, I think, 10 zone, they add extra zone and you can just buy the ticket without albums buying. It's also good. I think they add more zones, but I think this zones it's so far, but it's more cheap to buy this. So like first one.
Yeah.
But I really like this because if you also told about the streaming thing, and also when you buy the albums, the BTS from in the chart, they coming like top 10 or something like this. Also if you buy the album, it's also counting to the chart. So I think when the years ended, like Mama, Premiere coming or something like Golden Disc, they win all the first places, I think. Because of this promoting only about the showcase thing. They can make the first place only after the showcase. I think so.
I want to talk about, because it's always interested me about streaming and releasing 7 versions of one song and things like that to get it, which seems to be a really big part of it. When you were talking about RM's injury and when you were talking about 4 years without the performance and how good it feels and this kind of thing, before we get to the streaming and Sadegi Paola kind of thing, when I was watching the documentary, I get this idea, the psychological pressure they must be under, right? And this applies to any celebrity, whether you're Underscores or Taylor Swift or Kanye or Kendrick, right? The pressure on your next album, the intense focus, and especially if you're someone that's a cultural figure, you know, you've got lovers and haters, and you're never going to please some people and you're always going to please others. But I got this feeling that they must have been under a lot of pressure, under a lot of psychological pressure, because whatever they do, people are going to evaluate it and go, is it cool or not? That must be quite hard, because like you guys are university students and I have to evaluate your work and like give you a grade. And these guys are just still getting graded, basically, in a sense, aren't they? They have to do that. Alina, do you ever thought about this? Like the psychological pressure idols, the members of BTS might be under, or is that something you feel with them or not?
Before you perform, you never think that people think you're gonna be like, oh, I should do well. I want people to like me. But everything what you have in your head is that I hope they're gonna enjoy it. I hope they're gonna like it. You're not thinking how you feel at that moment. Like you might hurt your leg. You're not gonna think about it. Your costume might be ripped somewhere. You're gonna be like, it's fine, okay, I should make it. And at some point, I believe idols or any artist, they just deciding, oh, it's time. It's time to release that work. It's time people to see it. And everything you're hoping is that you're good enough. Like you're not, you might not even enjoy yourself, honestly, at some point. You're gonna be like, I'm not ready. It's not the right time. But you're gonna just keep extending the moment. It's never gonna end. So I think when they decided to release, it means they already did so many works and they redo it so many times. And right now, I think they're saying like, please like it. Because psychologically, there is no right time for you to do something creative, right? Because there is no evaluation. It's not a math. There is no right answer. It's not going to be 2 + 2 = 4. No, it's going to be A + C. Means forever. So it's just either you do it or you're not doing it. And they decided to do it. And I'm honestly really proud of them.
I think with creation, the process is so important. Like you're making something, and whether people, when I make something, whether people like it or not, doesn't matter to me. It's like I've made it and now I can make something else. Now I can go on to the next one. It's like I have this need to get something out of me, and I don't have to worry about millions of people evaluating what I make, which is nice. But it's the process, I think, is very therapeutic. Some people like cleaning their house. Some people like dyeing their hair. Other people like to make something and then, it feels like something has come out.
It's very common, like, for idols to have psychological, like, pressure. They're under a lot of pressure because basically Koreans, though they opened up a lot like than before, they are still very conservative. Like we don't allow idols to date other people. We don't like them smoking. Well, drinking seems a bit off the criteria, but other stuffs we evaluate them very strictly. And that must be a lot of pressure because we as normal people, we get a lot of pressure for just being ourselves. We get evaluated every other day. But for these people, for idols, every person, especially BTS and like those international figures, not just people around you, people who you really don't know evaluate you all the time. And well, that must be a lot of pressure. But I think like it's something that they already knew before they came into the industry. Like you can go to America, be a pop star and well, live your Hollywood life, but in Korea you have to follow the rules. Like Koreans really love rules. Koreans are crazy about rules. Yeah, when you go out of the line, people would criticize you more than whenever you're doing other stuff like Jungkook at his life.
Jungkook and Winter.
Jungkook and Winter, Jungkook and his lives, and things like that. I personally think they really needed this album to like breathe. They would have a lot of pressure because it's their first album, as I know, like not their solos, but as a one after they like finished their military services. They would have needed this album whether or not people like it. So yeah, I hope they just like their pressure is a little bit off now that they released this, and they're going to meet their fans in a few weeks, I guess. So yeah,
the spotlight will turn and
Yeah.
the world will keep turning and BTS and ARMY will still be there and
yeah,
Netflix and YouTube will move on to something else. I think there's this wonderful difference, whereas if you're a Western pop star, and this is a generalization, but if you're a Western pop star, the more famous you get, the more freedom you get. So if you're Snoop Dogg, you can just go around smoking weed everywhere. And if you're DiCaprio, you can just date 25-year-olds for the rest of your life. But there's a level of freedom that extends, like the more famous you get, the more freedom you're allowed to kind of flaunt the rules. And if you're Post Malone, you can do mushrooms on the Joe Rogan podcast and wear a dress, right? Which would not be acceptable for normal people sometimes. But in Korea, the more famous you get, the less freedom you get.
Yes.
And there's this hyper-moralism. Like you guys probably have more freedom than J-Hope and Jimin in terms of drinking and smoking and dating and political opinions and things like this. So it works in like this negative correlation to other cultures. And there's this hyper-moralism, isn't there? It's not just on BTS, but it's on all the idols in the industry.
Yeah.
It must be such a headfuck after a while, I think, that you would have this idol persona, everything that happens to you. Isha, do you want to be an idol?
Not really. Like,
Not after did I sell it to you, like the idea of it?
I mean, like, my ideas about idols being judged, like, I mean, I've watched the documentaries and their performance, and I've heard them saying, like, if the audiences and the fans are still gonna like us, like, those questions made me very, like, very generous about BTS because I said, I used to be an anti-BTS person, but, like, it's kind of like people my age like tends to like criticize BTS about like their popularities compared to what they're doing, because like all of these voices talking about BTS, like BTS is kind of lame, and also like BTS is popular because they are popular, like, so I think those kind of voices might have like hurt them like more than we expected. So preparing this album might be a painful journey for them. And also like canceling culture in Korea is so intense, and I think people should like be more like easy on them, because like we're humans. Like, why do you even expect like but it's more like it's kind of difficult, because like this fandom culture in Korea is kind of like a special thing, like not like pop star fandom cultures. Like they are totally different things. So like it's kind of hard to like say something like on how fans are judging their artists. So
the more I look at K-pop, and the reason I started this conversation talking about music is because I like music. I like listening to music, and I'm not a fan of any particular group. I like a song from here and a song from here. But when I look at K-pop, I think the nature of the actual industry, and this is not just about one group, but the fandom and the focus on fan labor and the focus on streaming, and you were mentioning these purchasing of various albums, I find it very, very strange. And it's not strange, because people that are into baseball and people that are into other football and wrestling and motorsports and knitting, and they will collect things and they will get deep into their hobbies. But what's most interesting to me about all of this, because I work in academia and journalism, is that no journalism will ever talk about the streaming nature in which K-pop operates, and they'll happily report on Baby Monster having this many views on their music video and NCT doing this, but they never say, yeah, but there's people streaming all the time. There's people deliberately streaming to get these numbers up, and I just don't know why that never happens. It always feels so like empty to me that you're not reporting on that, because if I see a K-pop video's got let's say 50 million views, I'm curious, like, how many of those are real? Because sometimes when you compare K-pop music videos to other, pop or rock or music releases that are like cultural events, and the K-pop's got like 5-6 times more than the latest thing that comes out from Kendrick or something like this. And I'm like, why is this happening? How does this happen? And there is this streaming competitive nature that goes across fandoms, and we all know it happens. But I'm just curious why the media never, ever says anything about this. And that just blows my mind, because I can never work out how much of it is real. Obviously, it's real. The people love these groups and they watch them. But of that 100 million, are there 50 million views? Are there 20 million views? Are there 75 million views? How much of it is come from people doing it? That's what I always wonder. And I still wonder that with BTS and their current music views, Blackpink's latest one, and whatever comes out of TXT or NCT Wish, it's always the same question, because numbers seem to dominate the conversation a bit.
Actually, I know about this at all. If we told about the third generation, like NCT, TXT, Stray Kids, blah, 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 they all start to make the streaming culture so popular because they want to show to the other people, oh, my group is best, no, mine is best. But when we talk about the second or third generation, like BTS, Blackpink, they actually didn't do the streaming thing that much, because when we talk about the BTS or Blackpink comeback, they don't need to be they don't need to streaming to make the first place. So I think if we talk about the NCT, TXT, 80s, Stray Kids, they have the streaming thing. But if we talk about the BTS and Blackpink, I really didn't think they make the streaming that much, because of course it's have a fan who listens 24 hours streaming playlist for Arirang album, but actually they didn't do this much for the BTS, I think, because BTS don't need to be in the competition with another groups, I think.
Have you ever done it? Have you ever streamed?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never done it. No, I've never done that. I don't know what it's like. Can you say something about it?
Personally, I have another group. I'm not going to say the name because it might cause trouble. But I have a group. No. I have a group that I like, and I used to stream their songs online on Melon, because I kind of disagree with her because my group is kind of major, I think, on the third generation. And we are still very serious about all the streaming stuff because like people do events on like they give away something very important like photo cards that cost you like I don't know like 7 million won and they give it away for free, but the only thing that you have to do is to stream I don't know about 300 times. Like they check it like you really want to get this photo card, you have to send the streaming card that says you have streamed this over 300 times. And I think this is all over like Korean fandom cultures because this is really hard work because, you know, you play the song and you might not like it, but you have to do it for the group. And that relates on how the idols treat their fans. Like Hollywood stars, I don't think they really treat their fans like their girlfriends or boyfriends, but especially K-pop boy groups, they treat their fans like their girlfriends. Like they do like Chagia, they do it like, they treat them like a princess. So they do this flavor and they give this princess treatment to them. And that's why the whole streaming thing starts because we have to like we have to pay back for their love. And that's what caused the whole streaming process. And this is a question that my mom actually asked me. She saw me streaming and she asked me, do you really stream that song because you like it or because your group made the song? Like, is it because of the group or is it because of your personal preference? And actually, it was because of my group. And that streaming culture is weird, but it's weird because it's K-pop. It's like the basic K-pop. So it's like nothing like it can't be removed. It's just like a characteristic.
How do you, thank you for sharing that. I think it's very honest. And how do you stream? Like, this is a stupid question. Like you play the song and then you play another song and then you go back to that song, or you have an app that puts it on. How do you stream something? What do you do? Play the song and then press refresh?
We have a thing called 음원 총공팀.
Okay. Okay. Teach me.
This team is for streaming. It has like a lot of followers, and basically what they do is they check the Melon chart for times that are weak, and then they make a playlist for the streaming, and then they post the link online and they say, play this on your account, and then it will count as a stream. And yeah, you just play it like all day long on your phone. You just play it on like your earphone, and you can't do it like boom with no sound. You can't do it. So you have to like put an earbud on or just one decibel and just place it there, and then it goes all day long. And yeah, it gives you kind of stressful vibes, but yes.
It means you can't do anything else or listen to anything else. That's the interesting thing. If it's there always on, it's like
you can't listen to anything else.
Yeah.
When your group makes a comeback for at least a month, you can't listen to anything but their album because when it drops, it will like the fans think they will very like, you know, put an impact on the idol because people will think they're not like hot anymore. So they try to like lift them up. It's like the Korean competition thing, I think.
Yeah. I can't imagine it, but then by the same token, if when I was 14 or 15, if Ginger Spice, Jerry from the Spice Girls, was calling me darling and saying, play this, I'd be like, okay, Jerry, like, here we go. Like, I could imagine what it must feel like, because it must feel nice. It must feel like there's this amazingly beautiful person that's calling you Tagya or darling, and you feel like they're talking to you. And then I can see how that would be very, very appealing, addictive. Yeah.
Few months ago, one Japanese mangaka made the manga and animation about the K-pop culture. And it's really so common, like it's also about the boy group and they call fans like 자기야. And I really recommend this one for a person who interested on this because it's show really the both side, like K-pop idol side and fan side, and how it's working together about the streaming things, buy the albums, like about the some events like High Touch or something like this. I really recommend this one.
What is it? I don't know what it is, Violet. It's an animation. It's a webtoon.
It's have a manga and also have the animation. Like animation comes, I think, 2 months ago, but they already ended the first season.
I missed the name. What's the name?
It's the Tamon Another Side.
Okay.
Like Tamon, it's the K-pop idol, and it's story about his fans.
Okay.
And him a conversation. I really recommend this, and also about the streaming. They have like a lot of like Melon streaming, YouTube streaming. It's have a lot of the platform, and you can streaming this, and it's really hard to stream to the different apps because it's, for example, I stream on the YouTube, and it's have another rules the streaming. You need to understand how you need to do this. If you just play the song, it's not working at all, because also some companies make the lower. For example, if someone's streaming their song, they delete this. Like you watch this, but they delete this because you look like you make the fake streaming on this. And also now Hype make the new event about the photo card. If it's the Hype group, you can win the only one Polaroid they make. Like another person don't have this. If you stream a lot, it's actually, they say it's random, but if you watch a lot, you have more chance to get this. They also make the streaming popular on the company. Like they didn't say stream our song, they say like, you can get photo card if you're streaming this. So also not only fans wanted this, also the company needs to do this.
Capitalism, huh? The Marxist division of labor. It's like these billion-dollar entertainment companies have got people working for them for free.
Yeah.
And the companies make all the money. It's. I wonder if my daughter's going to do it. My daughter's into IVE. And like, I wonder if she's going to slowly, as she gets older and she becomes more in control of her things, we have to drive to Papa John's to buy her photo cards. And you're only allowed one. So my wife will order pizza and go and pick it up and then come back into the car. And then I will walk in and buy it. So we get 2 sets of photo cards. So I'm a father now that's operating this a little bit. And I wonder if she's going to become like you. And I'm going to ask my daughter Elizabeth the same question that your mum asked you. Thank you. Say thank you to your mum for me, Namu. Do you like this because it's the group or is it your taste? I'll remember that.
I really think about the BTS comeback, and we also told about the pressure thing. I really think BTS have a big pressure now because, for example, when you say about they come from the King Road and they make the streaming of this showcase everywhere.
Yeah.
Every country have this showcase, and BTS members understand like, we are the first place on the world, like we are the most popular group and we need to make the show what deserve all around the world. We need to performance like with thousands of cameras. We need to make something what all can like not all, but they need to thinking about we are the number one. We need to deserve and show we deserve this place. I think all the K-pop idols have the pressure, but I think BTS have the most big pressure inside about we need to show something new. We can't do the mistake a lot. For example, if Jungkook fall down on the stage, some people start hate them for this. I think they have they have a new brief about the albums making, about the music, because fans still like this, but I didn't think they have the freedom about what they can do.
I think, yeah, if you're performing just to your fans, that's one thing, but this is performing to the general public, isn't it? And that's why I've got all you guys in here, because there's fans and there's not fans and there's just general people who are not interested. And that's what BTS were doing here. When it goes major, and you're going to get love, you're going to get hate. I thought the creative side of it, I'll just say this, was very interesting, because when I was told about BTS, I was always told they address social issues and they write and produce their own music. And I was like, okay, that's quite interesting. So I went and explored them. When I was watching the documentary of this, it really felt like they had very little control of what was being produced. Like, these are your songs, okay, thank you very much, and go and perform them. So I was kind of like a little bit, I wanted to see more of how the songs were made. I wanted to see what Diplo and Kevin Parker and the producers were doing to bring these to life. But I guess that's the nature of being an idol. That's what you do.
Like 10 years ago, K-pop was something like for the Koreans. Like, the subject of doing K-pop thing had to be Koreans, and nowadays, like, it's more like getting more complex, and some kind of, like, I think various elements are combining and becoming like K-pops, like fandom cultures, and like those services they provide to their fans, and how they performance, and like music tendencies. But like, I used to think that K-pop has certain like a music type of genre. So like, when I listen to K-pops, and like, yeah, that's the K-pop. But like nowadays, like, we cannot like figure out, like, if we go to the blind test, like, do you want to guess which one is K-pop idol music? And then like, no, we cannot really do that. So it's kind of funny that the way it changes towards time passes. And I saw that the black woman, I guess, doing pansori, and it was brilliant. And I something like that, like K-pop is being more globalized, and so it's kind of hard to like figure it out, like, what is K-pop. So it's kind of something that we need to like study more about, like think about what is it. So it was fun talking about this topic, this conversation.
I think it's good that you're here, because there's this national element to it, but there's this like, no, K-pop is Korean pop. And we did it this week where Boa starts speaking Japanese and starts releasing Japanese music like 25 years ago, and everybody's losing their mind because like, why is K-pop all of a sudden in Japanese? And that was the conversation 25 years ago when Boa was destroying Japanese charts, right, and topping that. And now it's still going. It's the same conversation, but it's about with English and nationalities and all of these things. Yeah. But I think, yeah, we sometimes lose that there must be these Korean people that like, yes, it's great, but no, it's ours. And how do we do this? And I think that's probably very true of Korean culture itself. Is Korea Asian? Is Korea Western? Is Korea, like, what is it? It's a very confused, schizophrenic, still finding its own identity, because obviously it knows what it is, but it's still got to grow into it, I think.
Actually, I'm really into K-pop a lot of times, and I have a lot of the Korean friends who love the K-pop, but I think K-pop still have one point. I thinking about this because I live in Korea so long. I really feel like I'm a Korean fan. I'm not from Korea, but I still feeling this. And
you speak Korean perfectly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feeling about the K-pop is good to be promoted to another country, but they still need to remember about the Korean fans. Because if we talk about for example, another group's tour, they come to Japan and make 12 concerts. But in Korea, it's only 2. And it's always only so. I'm really happy BTS make also the concert in the Busan this time, because Busan not that popular place to the concert that time. And I'm really so sad about they remove the Korean lyrics from the song. Also, a lot of the groups make a lot of the version, for example, like members version, fit version, English version, Japanese version, and they always lose the Korean lyrics a lot, and I'm really so sad about this. Also, if idols make the Japanese comeback, they didn't make this song after this in the Korean languages. I'm really so sad about fans because a lot of the Japanese songs, it's so good. And a lot of the Korean fans wanted the Korean version, but they never do this. And I really thinking about K-pop, it's still good. Like it's a big boom in a lot of the world, but I really think they need to remember about where they are. Like you're Koreans. Also, you told about in the documentary, BTS have a problem about the pronunciation of English words. I actually think like BTS don't wanna speak to the English that much. I think so. I think they still wanna proud. Like I feel BTS like love Korea and they wanna proud about yourself to be Korean, but they still need to keep the rules about you need to make lyrics in English, you need to speak in English because I have a lot of the Korean fans, but I think so sad about the Korean fans, they also wanna listen, like swim only on the Korean or something like this. Like the Sotaji, he make really hip-hop songs a lot, but he used a lot of the Korean lyrics. He didn't change this to the only English. And I think like I've been so happy if Korean idols make the song on the Korean more than English, because also when you watch in the threads or Facebook or something like this, a lot of the Korean fans write like, why in the Arirang don't have that much Korean lyrics or something like this. They wanna own language on the songs.
And I agree. And things can be popular in own language. I mean, we already mentioned it, but Bad Bunny is doing it in these languages, and it is possible to do it. You don't have to be westernized to be successful. I think people want authenticity. That's one of the things, isn't it? Show us your real culture. So yeah, it's a challenge. I completely agree. It's quite interesting that these 7 members have still managed to stay together. If you look at what happens to like EXO and Big Bang and things like this, it's so easy, right, for groups to fall apart. Cat's Eye member leaving, and yeah, very difficult. As a closing comment, like K-pop is incredibly sensitive for some people, and for sometimes it's meaningful. It's life. It's more than music. It's a culture. It's a family, a community, and you love this one and you hate this one, and it's like Liverpool and Man United, it's like Korea and Japan, it's like LG and Doosan. It's very passionate, and I just want to say to anybody listening or watching that the people here have come in and tried to speak honestly, and that's so difficult, right? You imagine how hard it is to speak about K-pop and to speak about these things, and knowing the culture is out there. And I think the U4 should be not only applauded but seen as a model of democracy, of what things should be like. We all have different opinions, we have different taste, and things don't have to be amazing or terrible or good or bad, but they can be, hey, this is my taste, what's your taste? And we can talk about it. So I applaud you for what you've done, and I hope other people will look upon you with some respect and sensitivity for what you've been able to do. For anyone still watching and listening, do please get in touch, let them know what you think, let us know what you think. This is Korea Deconstructed. Bye. Thank you. Woo. And relax. And good. We're done. Woo.